Hi everyone, Professor Snart here, just checking in as we look at Unit 6 we're moving into, locating secondary sources. This is actually one of the easiest units that we have to do, but like a couple of the other ones that didn't involve a lot of reading or work, this one is kind of one of those really fundamental skills that you want to develop that we just sort of compartmentalize here. So we just do this idea of finding an appropriate secondary source, and you post what you found to the discussion board. Pretty simple. So easy to do, but really crucial as a skill that you can then implement kind of in connection with all of the other concepts or skills that we've looked at in the first essay assignment and subsequent ones too, which is coming up in Unit 7. So Unit 7 is actually our first essay assignment, and that's your first opportunity to really bring together all of the things that we've been looking at so far. So especially in the 5-week session that goes so fast, we're actually, if you can believe it, in our midterm week here, which is, this caught me by surprise actually when I got an email from our records office the other day just reminding everybody that midterm was this week. So you may feel like it's midterm and what have I even learned? This is actually a sort of good question to ask yourself, and you can even kind of just go back like I'm looking at right here. You don't even necessarily have to click into the units that we've previously covered, although that's a good idea, but you can just sort of read the unit titles. So Unit 1 was Introductions, 2 Literary Terms and Analysis, so you can think about, oh yeah, what did we think about or what would we talk about for that unit. Managing the general and the specific, again, really think about what were the concepts that we covered there, and certainly by all means you can click yourself back in and just sort of scroll through. Oh yeah, we looked at Sticky the stick figure guy here, all the parts of the essay, how it fits together, what the whole notion of managing the general and the specific really is, and then even if we go down into Unit 6, which we're looking at right now, and the due date for that is, let me get the date right here, Tuesday, July 12th, and it's of course Monday as I'm recording this. If we look at Unit 6, this will be kind of the last piece of the puzzle that we put into place before doing that full essay. A couple more readings from the book to give you a little more in terms of ideas or sources to draw on when you're writing the essay, but then of course finding secondary sources. And I'll just reiterate what's here, but it's pretty straightforward in terms of all of the secondary sources that you use for this class will almost always be from databases. The only other kind of source you might find is an appropriate like library book or an academic sort of scholarly book. Never using just the web or other kinds of strange, search instruments that people find. We're just sticking with the databases that are provided through COD here. I name a couple that are useful for us, the McGill on Literature Plus and Literature Resource Center. By all means, you can check other ones within the literature category, but there's a couple of sort of pieces to understand here as far as finding an appropriate source. First and foremost, it's a discussion directly of the literary work or the short story or whatever it is that you're discussing for your essay. So in other words, if you were to write an essay about Alice Munro's Boys and Girls, clearly one of the major themes is child psychology or child development. But that doesn't mean that an essay in the Journal of Child Psychology or something from your psychology textbook, right, that's not an appropriate source because it's not actually a discussion of the literary work. So you found something that's related in terms of the theme, but it's not really a discussion that you can incorporate into your discussion of that literary work as well. So that's one component of getting an appropriate source. The other is simply where the source comes from. And the easiest thing to do, and this is exactly what we're doing right here, is to simply use the databases. They're credible, they're professionally written, they're edited, so people actually check to make sure that the facts are correct, and of course they're grammatically and mechanically correct and all of that kind of stuff. And this is, again, easy to do, but really so kind of core or fundamental as a skill that you need to learn and then implement in the essays that are coming up in the class. So In terms of taking the broader view then, we're at midterm, but really what we've done so far is worked on some of the components that we're going to now bring together once we move into Unit 7 and then beyond for the larger essay. So really, we've done a lot of work for the course, but there hasn't been a lot of points attached to that work relative to where the points really fall, which is in those written essays. And there's one essay in Unit 7, a revision of that where you're incorporating a secondary source, and then a final, slightly longer and more involved as far as the research goes essay that concludes the course. And that final essay is really where all the points are. So you can read this in the grading guidelines here, provides a grade breakdown, and you can see how everything is really weighted on those essays as, again, your opportunity to bring all of those skills and components together from previous units and show that you get the concepts, you get the idea, you can do citation correctly, put your works cited together correctly. When it comes time to find sources, you can do that correctly. So all of that sort of stuff. So we have reached our midterm point, or at least we will have, midway through this week. But really, our course sort of falls into two separate halves. The skill building half that we really are finishing up with Unit 6, and then the application of those skills in the essay writing. Okay, so as always, if you have any questions, just be in touch with me, and I will talk to everybody within the next couple of days.